What's up, guys? Injuries for today. Ricky Pearsall, knee will be out. Watkins, calf out. Robert Veal, ankle out. Brock Purdy, toe out. Jauan Jennings, ankle/rib out. Alfred Collins, knee out. Yetur, knee hamstring out. Trent Williams, vet day. McCaffrey, vet day. CJ West, thumb limited. Stout, ankle limited. Mac Jones, knee/oblique limited. Kevin Givens, pec limited. Clea Davis, hand limited.
How'd you assess Brock's progress, and is there any thought at all putting him on injured reserve?
Hasn't been on thought on IR, and he's progressing. Yeah.
Is there a reason Brock didn't travel to Los Angeles?
Just with where he was, we thought when he traveled the first time, he was a little sore after it, so we just don't want him to fly and everything for that reason.
Same with all the other injured guys?
Yeah. They don't do it because we think it helps them leave him behind.
You've always said try to get to be 50-50 run pass. I know 4-1 is by far the most important stat, but you're 59% pass right now. Are you a little uncomfortable with that, or it's just the way? Like, did you approach these games thinking most of the time we're going to have to throw a little bit more than usual?
No, I think that's more how I feel during the games. I don't approach games that way much. Every game I've ever been in, I understand it can go either way, one-sided or the other. So you're always ready for that, for how a game goes. But no, that's the way these games have played out, and seems like it's been important for it to play out that way.
Tampa's got the #1 run D outside of Vita Vea. What stands out when you watch them on film?
Maybe Todd's scheme. I mean, regardless of who they've ever had, he's always a good run defense. When they want to take away the run, they know exactly how to do it from the calls he makes, how they play with their 3-4 front. Then when you have people like Vita Vea, as good as it gets in that area, but schematically, they know how to make you one-dimensional, and that's why you got to be able to win doing both.
Reports are out about the trade deadline and the possibility of you guys wanting to kind of help out with that Bosa void. Are you guys talking about that? How are you guys feeling about the possibility of bringing someone else in to help out with that edge?
Same as always. I mean, those guys talk every day, all the way up till the deadline, and they'll let us know if anything ever has a possibility. But with both out, there's no difference than usual. So the same.
And Givens, does that mean his window is open to Brexit?
Yeah.
What's the plan for him and Mustafa? Is there a chance those guys?
He's back in. We'll see how the week goes. No guarantees they'll be ready for Sunday, but we'll kind of start basing that off how they look today a little bit, how they look leading up to this point. We'll see how they go.
Can you give us a couple of updates on some of the other guys that are on IR, like Kittle and Ben March? Are they progressing?
Yeah, they're all progressing. Hopefully we'll have a chance at Kittle next week. Just a chance. I don't think Barch is up next week, though.
Back to the trades. I think John said on the radio that you're going to have to see how the season's going, too, to assess what the situation is. 4-1 as the guy coaching this, does that increase your interest in maybe making a trade or two?
Not really. What increases my interest is who's the guy that can absolutely help us get better this year without hurting us next year, and you balance both of those out. But there's got to be a guy available, and sometimes it's two different things. Sometimes there's one guy who can only help this year. Sometimes there isn't a guy available who's like that. So we'll see what comes up. Sometimes things come up, but I don't see any different right now than how I felt going into the year.
In the Emmanuel Sanders trade was really, you said it, we're maybe one piece away. Do you feel at all similar? I know it's a little ways away to that time.
No, I don't feel at all like that. I think at that time we had a Super Bowl defense that was as good as anyone in the league, and probably had been for 10 years, and it was pretty obvious. And I thought, at the time, some of the receivers we were dependent on weren't there, and we were playing some young rookies, and we thought we needed to add another guy. But yeah, I don't totally see it the same situation as right now.
There's an epidemic in the league right now of players dropping the ball right before they cross the goal line. Have you talked about this with your players? Have you ever thought about how you would react if one of your players did that?
No, I don't think much about how I'd react. I'd always react pretty much the same, as upset as I could possibly be with trying to internalize it all. But yeah, we show stuff, guys. I mean, everyone does. When stuff happens around the league, most people do that. We didn't last week. We had a short week. We do around the league on Fridays. We didn't get a Friday. But yeah, you would think you don't need to show that. You would think Deshaun covered that 20 years ago. But but surprisingly, you need to cover it because it keeps happening. And I have a pretty good feeling people did see it last 2 weeks ago. So I have a feeling sometimes you cover things and it still happens. I'm still curious if that guy let it go before the goal line or not. Looked pretty damn close to me. Go ahead.
What were you seeing as far as progress in the run game?
What am I seeing? Well, last week you didn't see much statistically at all. Kind of had an idea going into the game how big of a challenge that was going to be. Wasn't proud of the production in terms of yards and everything, but I was extremely proud of how our team got over 30 carries. When you can do that and you're only averaging under 3, that means you're doing a lot of good things. You're staying out there, you're executing, you're doing good on third down. But it's, we missed some opportunities earlier in this year. It got a little harder versus the Rams. It's going to get harder this week versus Tampa Bay. But we just got to keep pressing away.
You said after the Rams game that you've been impressed with your team's character for a while now. When did that first kind of strike you, that sense that this was a team that had grit, that had character?
It's nothing against the old team. I think our old teams have had grit and character. It was just more, it was a different deal this year, just knowing how much turnover we had and how many more younger guys were dependent on going into the season in comparison to the 3 years prior. And when you had a team for like the 3 or 4 years prior that, everything was about, hey, we got to get back to the Super Bowl, we got to win an NFC championship game, you got to do all that stuff. It's just a little bit different mindset. I knew it wasn't like that with all the young guys. So I was, when you break the team down in OTAs and everything for a few years about getting back to the Super Bowl and things like that, like it's not going to be that way with this group. And it was a totally different deal. So I wanted to just see how guys attack practice and football every single day, thinking we'd have to really work to get to that because it hadn't been that way for a while. But that's what I was so excited about in OTAs, because just talking with the guys in phase 1 and 2 about it and just watching how they reacted and how the practices went, it wasn't very hard for me. The guys were totally bought into it. We had the right guys, and they haven't worried about really anything except being as good as they can be in practice and that carrying over to games. And I think that's how it's been in these 5 games. Just as easily you can lose all 5 and be 0-5, and we found a way to be 4-1. And regardless of any of the games, even the one we lost, I've just been proud of how they've been going about it.
Follow up on that. I know you don't want to get too high or too low throughout the season, but like you said, it's been a really good start to the season. And I asked earlier this season about the road games, being that there's so many heavy road games on the front end of the schedule. How encouraged are you to see how their gutsy wins toward the end of these games on the road have turned out to go in you guys' favor?
I love finding ways to win games that you can easily lose. I don't really look into the road or away or when you do it. It really doesn't matter. I've been 5-0 and not made the playoffs. Been 0-4 and have made the playoffs. So like you don't look into really any of that stuff. It's just it all matters what your record is when you add up 17, not the order of how you do it.
What's the status of Ricky? Are you expecting him to practice tomorrow, or is this a multi-week rest thing that he needs?
Who's that? We were hoping last week that he'd probably be able to get in this week. He wasn't able to Monday. He's not able to today. So we'll see if there's a turn here on Thursday or Friday, but I'm not counting on it right now.
Almost put in Adrian Martinez the last game, and then you looked out and you saw Mac out there. How much would you be able to do with him at this point? You've had him for a little while now, but he's also been running the scout team.
We would have had to find out. Obviously a guy who hasn't been in your system very long and hasn't gotten a lot of NFL experience very long, you want to be as careful as you can. But when you're in a 20-20 game or whatever it was at the time and someone's taken over, you're going to do what you got to do. So you get in certain situations and you got to find out.
One of the things that stood out on the film was that Bourne dropped a pass and immediately Jones ran over to him, gave him a pep talk, helped him up. What do you think of Mac's ability to assert leadership as the number 2 guy, and how do you evaluate that?
I think guys need to be themselves and be consistent, and I think Mac's been that way. And when you're yourself and you're consistent, as long as you prepare the right way, play the right way, then to me you're a leader, and guys respect that. And I don't know if him patting him on the shoulder is why he didn't drop the next one, but it sure definitely doesn't hurt.
More branching.
If I may, a 2-part Eddie Pinheiro question. I guess. Sorry, threw me off. I guess the first part is that why he's historically good. His field goal percentage is 3rd, I think, all time now. Why do you think? Can you provide insight on why he was available in week 2? And also, when he screams, after, at the opposing sideline or whatever, just his reactions, exude confidence and he's got something to him. does that give you more confidence in him?
No, making it gives me a lot of confidence. I don't really care how you act before or after. If it goes in, I'm good. However you want to act, as long as you don't hurt our team and get a penalty, be yourself. But don't hurt our team and get a penalty. And I'm not sure why he was available. You know, the percentages look real good. But I'm glad he was available. So.
When it comes to Robert Saleh, why do you think you guys work so well together?
I mean, we have experience together. We've been through a lot together. Just even those first 3 years or first 4 years, just where we started. And known each other for a while. He knows a lot of football. We can communicate on a lot of different things, and whether we're talking offense, defense, or special teams, or just philosophy and stuff. So Saleh's a thinker, and I enjoy talking to him on that stuff.
All right, guys.
Thank you, Kyle.